And here we go, yet another Korean transforming robot toy, because as I mentioned before, I still have a few more of these to go before I've finished covering all of them again, because I keep getting more. Today, it's all about turning Mecard, or no, it's Mecard Ball. Petankranz? I don't know. I'm almost positive I'm pronouncing that wrong, but oh well. And this is actually technically a 2-in-1 because this little thing, I think this one's called just Petan or Petan or Petan or whatever. This is sold separately. This does not come with this, but this does work with this, which we will see when we get to the robot mode. But this guy actually comes with this thing normally, this kind of approximation of a car. And this does the job in robot mode, which I'll explain more when we get there. But yeah, this is what it comes with, but this is the complete thing you need for all of this. Now, I don't know anything about Mecard Ball. I just know it's Mecard. I'm assuming it's related to turning Mecard. And this thing is awesome, and I love it, and I'm very glad I have it. But it was a little bit tricky to track down. Let's say I got lucky. I found it on eBay. I'm not entirely sure, but I may have actually bought it from Soltron. I'm just guessing, but that may have been what happened. Anyway, and also if you're watching this, thank you for selling that to me. I actually really like this thing. But yes, Petankranz or Petankranz, whatever. As I said, I'm not going to get the name right. It is a very strange thing. But before we move on to the big fellow here, who is the main event, I do want to take a minute to look at this thing. And this is, it's funny, I didn't have an interest in this, but I wanted to get it for the sake of completion because of what it does with the robot mode. I'm not super fond of this as like a standalone toy, but I have to admit, the car mode looks pretty great. I mean, yeah, okay, there's this translucent brown plastic going all the way up the middle, which I'm not super into, but with how all of this works, it doesn't seem like it's a disintegration risk. And the actual like contours of the car look really great. I think the colors that they used are really nice, and I like how you've got this dark strip going up the middle with like the brighter orange along the sides. And as you can see, they also painted the headlights and the taillights, so there is some stuff going on here. And as you might expect, this being a Mecard ball figure, balls come into play. And there are these little spherical things that come with this guy and the big guy who's just off camera. I've got 4 total out now. There are actually more. I don't know where they are. I know where they are, but I didn't feel like digging through every last inch of the box that I know they're in to try and find them. So this is a representation. There are some that I have of these that are like 2 colors, where one half is black, one half is green, that kind of thing. I prefer the solid color ones because I think they blend in more when they're incorporated into the robot mode, but, you know, to each their own. Now, the way these things, the thing about these things that kind of bugs me, though, is right there. There's the the Mecard ball logo, which in itself is fine, but then it's got made in Korea around the outside. It's like Mecard ball made in Korea, and I don't like that. This doesn't look good. Like, the functionality of these kinds of toys is there are these little sections where these little balls can go, and you can tuck them in there. But the problem is, you've got this happening, and if it's like off or whatever, it drives me nuts. So like when I put these things in, I try and turn it so that the logo is facing in so you don't see it. And that works, but I would have preferred it if it just didn't have the logo on it, because it just wrecks things for me. But anyway, getting back to the whole point of this, there's also this little disc that comes with this guy, and it's got this little divot in it because the ball can rest in there, and that keeps it from moving around too much. And the reason you want to do that is because it does a thing. Yes, it's one of those spring-loaded dealies. And so Petan, whatever, pops open into this. And this is one of the least impressive spring-loaded cars for Mecard ball that I've seen, but it's the one that goes with the big guy. I'm not sure if the other spring-loaded vehicles will work, because they all seem to be designated for specific larger toys. So I don't know if like each one that's like if they have to pair up a certain way or if you can mix and match the smaller vehicles. I didn't want to risk importing something like that for the costs and be wrong. So I got the guy that it is supposed to work with that guy. And I mean, it's fine. Like the plastic feels good. The action is fun. Collapsing it back up and, clamping it back together is neat. It's a fun toy. I'm just not into the look of this. It's awkward. That's really the best I can say. Like there are a couple that are really neat. This is not one of them. The colors are nice. There's some nice revealed paint like the silver and the chest and the head and stuff. Also, I will say I do like that the head can actually turn. It has motion. I keep it straight for the transformation, but like you can turn it, and that kind of works because, I will stand by. I'm not super fond of this guy, but I think this is a cool detail. You'll notice there's this little chain along the bottom platform here, and his arm's down like that. I'm pretty sure that's to make it look like he's got this arm down holding the chain, and this ball is like the end of a chain flail or something like that. It's a neat idea. It's a neat effect, but this is still just not all that interesting to me as a robot toy. So he's going to be staying in car mode for the rest of this video. But before we go back to car mode, let's take a quick look at his little robot face, if the camera will focus on it. And it's fine. I have no idea if it's actually focusing. I think that's got it. Yeah, it's fine. It's just, like I said, I'm not super into this fellow as this. Like some of the other toys I like better, just from what I've seen, I like better because they pop open into a more actual figure style looking robot. But the car does look neat. I like the car. And as you saw before, it rolls quite well. This does not roll because it's cardboard. Now, Petankranz, or whatever. This fellow is really cool. I like this ridiculous vehicle mode that's like, it's kind of like a, I forget what they were called. It was like these, it's big in like White Zombie albums and stuff like that, this kind of art style. And they have like those kinds of critters driving hot rods and stuff. It kind of makes me think of that kind of hot rod combined with a hearse. I don't know. It's weird. I wish I knew the name of the thing I'm thinking of. But point is, also you should listen to White Zombie. White Zombie's awesome. Point is, it's a neat looking car. It's weird, but it's neat. I like the pipes sticking out of the sides and the kind of interesting shape for the front. And it comes together pretty well considering what it does and what it is. It rolls pretty decently too. And I like it a lot. Now, as we saw earlier, there is a thing right here. You can stick one of the little orbs, and that acts as a launcher. So you push this down, it's all friction based, but if you push this down, it will launch the ball. And I am not launching this across the apartment because we have cats. and it's just I'm not doing it. Everyone's kind of winding down for the night. I'm not going to start launching balls everywhere, but that's cool. And one of the things that I kind of like is Petankranz came with a black one, so you can drop that in there, and that just kind of masks the gap a little bit, which I think works okay. Problem is these things, they don't hold in super duper well, so they can actually fall out if you jostle them a little bit, at least in this thing. There's a secondary bit here where I've got another ball tucked, and that holds a lot better. But it really depends on the ball and the location, because some of them seem to be slightly sized differently. But that is how that goes. And I suppose we need to move on to size comparisons. So let's put you here. I'll just put you up there to save space. And zoom out a bit more. Because it's a pretty big car. And bringing in our regular size comparisons, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. It's a pretty large car mode. This one no, but this one yes. So yeah, it's sizey. I would say I'm not going to do it because I'm lazy, but I'd say this is roughly like Commander Class Kingdom Rodimus Prime length, maybe a little bit longer, also heavier and denser, because, it's a Mecard figure and not a Hasbro figure. But that's how that stacks up. And just in case anyone is curious, here we've got a Hello Carbot, in this case Laranja, in her robot mode, but still you can see that she's she's big, but it kind of gives the impression that this guy's bigger in vehicle mode, and he in robot mode he definitely is bigger. But I mean, we'll get to that. And of course, gotta do Tobot. Them's the rules. And there he is with Wild Chief. So yeah, Petankranz is a pretty sizable vehicle. But as I've mentioned already, so it's not really a surprise, he does have a robot mode. Now this we're just going to put off to the side for now. And going to turn this into a robot. So the first step is I'm going to pop this section off. And it might work to push up through here to pop it off, because it does clip into place. So push that, clips right in there with these little clips on the side. So this will go off to the side for now. And going to pull these pipes down. And I'm just going to straighten them out for now, just to get them out of the way. You don't have to, but that's what I do. Next, going to remove the weapon. So pull this out and pop it out. And this does actually solidly kind of clip into place. There's like a little hole in there. When you push this in, it will click in. And when it clicks in, it holds pretty darn solidly. So just unclick it, and this will go off to the side again for now. Another thing that we're taking off and putting off to the side is this deco going around the back here. So we want to pop these little bladed sections off the sides. They clip in right here. Pop that off on both sides. Then pop this off here. It clips in two places in the back. And put that off to the side. And now we can actually transform this thing. So I'm going to take these bits and pop them out. They clip in right along here. So just pop that out. And that frees up the legs. The legs can then come down and straighten out and split them. And just bring them out a click. The toes will flip out and the heels will flip down. You do want to have the heels pushed up going into the vehicle mode. It just kind of keeps them out of the way. But I'm going to flip them down to the robot mode. And there we have the lower part of the robot done. For the upper bit, which I'm getting a lot of camera glare for some reason, for the upper bit, going to disconnect this bit here, and then this will swing down, and I'm just going to move these forward. That swings down, and this is kind of interesting what they do here. This bit here flips out to give you a fist, and then this section flips down to put the fist a little more centered with the forearm. It's not quite lined up, but it's a lot closer than if it were up here. And it's this extra detailed step that I actually really like. And this comes down and rotates. Same deal here. Flip that out, flip this out, and bring the arm down. And unfortunately, he's got the bicep curler arms, but it's fine. This guy's cool enough that I'm willing to look past it. Now for the head. This is what we need this for. There's a door back here that you pull down, and this will slide in here. And as this slides in, it pushes a little door that makes the head pop up. So slide it in, and it will click in. And once it's clicked in, close the door again, bring these little bits in, fold these bits in, and that closes off the chest. And that is basic Petankranz in his robot mode. But one more thing we can do before we give him his weapons is this little bit that we popped off will actually plug into the back. So there are these little bits here, these little clip holes, and these little pegs on the sides. So just plug those in, and that will clip into his back. And I like to angle the wings back a little bit. And there we have Petankranz in his robot mode. And this is a pretty cool robot mode, let's be real. He does have some issues, primarily when it comes to articulation, because I really hate the bicep curler arms, but I can manage it with this guy. Also, he is a bit boxy. That being said, I find it's actually pretty easy to address that. Like the torso in particular, like there's some really nice contours all over this robot, but like the chest and the shoulders make him look very kind of refrigerator boxy. But what you can do is something similar that I do with Griffinx, is angle the shoulders up at this joint and bring the arms down. And that gives him a slightly more dynamic angle to his shoulders, which I think breaks up that boxiness really nicely. But yeah, now we have Petankranz in his robot mode, and this is pretty darn cool. I really like the colors on this guy, like the black with gold, purple, and silver accents, and like a few bits of red here and there is really nice. The orange and brown for the car and the chest I think is okay. And it doesn't stick out as far as I thought it would. Like, it does stick out, but it's not completely ridiculous. And it's really cool. There's some really nice detailing on this guy. He's got the ball in his stomach, which is just a detail. You don't actually do anything with it. It doesn't launch or anything like that. But it adds some nice color to the midsection. I prefer to use the red one because I feel like this matches with the red ring accents and like the knees and feet and stuff. But you got choices. As I showed you before, there's also the black and the yellow one. Yeah, it's cool. I like these kind of little gold and silver detailing and like the almost batwing-like shape of the shoulders. The almost Art Deco style extra detail in the chest. I also really like these spikes that kind of stick out of the gauntlets. Those are cool. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think he has really cool legs. I like this layered effect where it's like this gold armor, red vents, this nice silver detailing going up the center. He's a really, really cool robot as far as I'm concerned. And he's relatively kibbleless. I mean, you got this, but like you could take that off. So I feel like, especially for a Korean robot toy, he's really cool. And let's see, let's look at that head. The head is also really nicely detailed. I like the angles on this thing, the kind of angry brows they gave him. And the detailing is really cool too, like the gold accents, the silver faceplate, the bright red eyes, the red stripe going down the center. It looks really nice. The only thing that kind of bums me out about this head is the fact that they made the plank on the back purple. I don't know why they did that, because this bit is covered up in the vehicle mode, so you never see it. So, like, it could have been any color they wanted. I feel like if they had made it black, it would have blended in with the head better. Granted, that would change the shape of it a little bit, but I feel like that would still work. So the fact that it's purple is a little bit of a bummer, but it's fine. I mean, it's not like purple isn't anywhere else on the figure, it's just for the head. I think it would have worked better if they made it black. With that said, let's move on to articulation, which is actually surprisingly good for this guy. So as you saw, he does have head rotation. Due to the transformation, the head can kind of look up a little bit, but it's spring-loaded, so that's not really going to be proposing. But you can move the arm up here, and you can move the arm up here. You've got bicep swivels. You do have elbows that go a little bit past 90, but they're the bicep curler arms, which I really don't like those. I don't understand. I'm sure it's some kind of like cultural thing to some degree. I don't know, but I just don't like the bicep curler arms. Why do so many Korean toys do that? There is no waist articulation. The hip skirts can move up and can swivel, but just to get them up out of the way, you can move the legs forward to just about 90 and back to 90. They can go out to 90. They could probably go a little further, but it's just not going to work with the way all that's designed. You get thigh swivel, and because of the transformation, you get a ridiculous 180-degree knee bend. There is nothing at the feet other than like wiggling the toes down, and the heels can go up and down, so you don't really get any foot motion, but for this kind of figure, I think that's fine. It works just fine for me, and it looks really cool. Now for his accessories, you of course have this thing where you just, it was like this for the vehicle mode, so you just angle that out, and there's this little peg here that can peg into his hand, and that gives him this kind of murder scythe, which is pretty cool. I like the scythe. And then there's this thing, which is supposed to be like a shield / ball launcher, and this plugs into, it's supposed to plug into the wheel on the side here, and that acts as a shield, but like look at how that sticks out, and it's on a wheel, so it rotates, and it's ridiculous. I do not like that. Fortunately, there's enough room with where, like how long the peg is, that you can plug it into his hand. It's a little dusty. You can plug it into his hand and have him hold it as like a gun, basically. And that's how I prefer to keep that piece, because it's just less awkward than having it dangling off the arm. I do kind of wish you could do more with this. Like maybe, like you could plug it in here, but the problem is it sticks out like that. You can angle it down, which could work as a claw, but like this won't go out any further, and it's on a wheel, so it does that. So it's a little limited what you can do with this guy's accessories, but if you really want to, you can plug this back into his back, And the reason we want to do that is because of this thing. So just for storage, I'm going to plug this back in here, just fold that up, or if you want, you could have it up over his head, like he has a scorpion tail or something. But I'm going to do that, and now we're going to take this and straighten the wings back out. And normally I borrow the ball from his stomach for this, but since I have the other ones out, I'm just going to grab this one and plug this into here, and when we do that, yes, it does that. I'll show you from this angle. So you plug it in here, and now you get this giant sword that you can plug into his hand. And now he's got a really big, cool-looking sword. And yeah, I really like that as an accessory. It's kind of a shame that it only looks good from one angle, but still, I like it. And if you pop the ball out, the sword will actually stay. It won't go back until you click those things back into place. So yeah, you can leave him with this really big sword. And that's pretty cool. I am going to change him back though, because I also like him with the wings. So I'll just unplug that and put that back and stick it back on there. But I really like that you have that option, and I think both options are cool in their own way. It does kind of make me wish that you could angle the sticking up slightly. I do kind of wish that you could angle the wings up a little bit, but it's spring-loaded, so you really don't have that option. Oh, actually, I almost forgot. I should go over this. So, as I was saying before, there's the cardboard car that came with him. Because this is designed to play the part of, where'd I put it, of this guy when you plug him into the chest. So this just slides in, and this whole thing, along with this bump, are designed to push the head up. So you push that in, and it doesn't lock into place, but it does sit. At least it's supposed to. This is getting... why is this getting stuck? I may have had this in storage for too long. Try going backwards? Well, anyway, this is supposed to slide in. You can see the head coming up. And it essentially just sticks through the chest, and you close everything up, just like you would with the regular car in there. And it works, but I was worried about exactly what's happening with this, with the car getting stuck, and the fact that, it's made out of cardboard. It's not gonna... There we go. Like, it's made out of cardboard, so it's not gonna hold up over time. And it was just something that I figured, if I have the means, I'm gonna get this. And I had the means, so I got it. Alright. Push this back out. Push this back in. And reattach this and move him so we can do one more round of size comparisons. And as you might be able to tell, based on the framing and everything, he's pretty big. Like, slide in our regulars here, and he's a big fellow. He's a very, very big fellow. Like, that is, yeah, like, even for Korean transforming toys, this is pretty tall. Which I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with, but he's a big boy. Alright, let's get this out of the way. And bring in our previous size comparisons for other Korean toys. There we've got Laranja, who's like... Laranja's not short. She's not massive, but she's not short. But she looks short next to Petankranz. And there we've got Wild Chief, who's even smaller in the lineup. Like, this is... It's pretty... Yeah. Yeah, he's He is a very big dude. Okay, let's get you both out of here. And have one more Korean size comparison to make, because I still have this guy, because there's no way I'm going to get rid of him at this point. And that is the other Mecard figure that I've had, Turning Mecard Griffinx. And Griffinx is bigger. In Griffinx's defense, though, or in Petankranz's defense, Griffinx is two separate vehicles that turn into individual, a Griffin and a Sphinx robot modes, non-human robot modes, and then they combine to make Griffinx. So, yeah, I think the two separate vehicles that are two separate robots that combine, like, it makes sense that he'd be bigger. Also, you can kind of see some of the fan moding I did with Griffinx to change up the shoulders and I think make it a little bit more cool looking. All right, let's get you out of the way again. And, oh, it's dusty. And let's bring you in here because I think I forgot to pull this guy out for the vehicle mode comparisons. I apologize for that. But there he is with the duck tank. And now this is normally where I would say I'm done and do the final thoughts thing, ask you all what you think and so on. But just like with Griffinx, Petankranz is hiding a bit of a secret. And that secret is he actually has two more modes, like at the same time. So I'm going to just take his weapons off and also pop off his wings and straighten his head out and push out the car. And the car we're done with for this, but yeah, gonna do that. And now the fun begins. So there's this button here on the waist, push that, and that will allow you to separate the legs from the torso. Also gotta close that up. Now that that is separated, we want to bring these shoulders up. We want to bring this in, and there's actually this bit here I want to fold out, and now we clip this back in. You can see the pegs and posts and ports and all that on the shoulders. So I want to get this lined up and clipped in, which it's not doing for some reason. Why are you fighting me? There we go. We do that. Push these flaps up so that they're on an angle. Rotate the, well actually before we rotate the arms around, we want to push the fists back down and push this bit down like we're going back to the vehicle mode. Then flip this section out. And with that flipped out, we can rotate this around and then bring this forward. Now, I want to push just this little purple bit out, and that will have like a natural stopping point. And now he has little claws. And along with those little claws, we can take the scythe and plug that in. And it's a scorpion. His top half turns into a scorpion. I love that. It's so ridiculous, but also adorable. So just slide that back. And now the legs, they come back together, clip together. These bits here fold out and fold out. Now, according to all the videos I've seen, you leave the hips like this, but what I prefer to do is rotate the pelvis up like that. You don't have to, that's just what I prefer to do. And then bring these hip skirts down, fold out these little red bits here. There we have that. Actually, as I'm looking at this, the line for everything is off, so I'm going to try to pull that back, see if that makes a difference. And it does not. Okay, so we're going back. My apologies, everyone. I would normally edit this out, but yeah, not anymore. So we've got this going on. Gonna bring these forward, I think, and just do it like that. Okay. Now I can reach in here and pull out a dragon head. They even have a little opening mouth. And same deal here. Pull this out and just get the hinges going so you can get things lined up. And there you go. And lastly, take this piece and this will clip onto the backs of the legs. Just like that. And now we have this little two-headed dragon guy. And this is fun. I really like this. It's not the most successful in terms of animal modes. Or I guess fair to say not really successful at all. At least not the two-headed dragon, but I still love that he has these two separate modes that you can make with each half of like the car or robot, whatever. And the two-headed dragon, yes, it is a stretch. I still think it's cool, but it is a stretch. That being said, I really wish I could figure out why things are so like off-center. Like, why are these all the way up here? I don't get that. But I do think that it's cool that he does this, and also it's a nice little detail that the dragon heads are actually slightly different. Like this one has one horn, this one has two horns on the back of the head. They both have a nose horn. But like, I don't know, it's cool. It kind of gives it the impression of them being like slightly different personalities. And I think that's fun. And once you slap the wings on, I feel like this works better as a dragon mode. Not great, but it works better. And I think both of these beast modes work better than Griffinx's Griffin mode. So the Scorpion is easily my favorite of the two animal modes because this thing is, you know, it's a little silly. The proportions are a little weird, but it's kind of cool and it definitely reads as a Scorpion. I love how these bits pop out to make claws and flip around. And the thing is, you can do this in robot mode too. When I go back to robot mode for the end, I will show you that. And like, this little bit works pretty well too. The tail is nice. It can like angle a bit. It can't do too much, like you can't turn it or anything, but you know, you can get a little expressive with this guy. I like it a lot. The only thing that I don't like about the Scorpion is it's very back heavy, and I don't really know what I can do to fix that. Like you can see, he's got wheels here and wheels here, but the bulk of the weight is behind these wheels. So when you put him down, he leans back. Like this is all four wheels on the table. When I let go, it goes back like that. And other than just putting the Scorpion legs down to try and balance him, which you can do, I don't really know what to do to fix that problem. I thought keeping the ball in there would do it, but no. Still though, I like this guy. And if he would balance properly, he would actually roll too, because he's got four wheels down there. But oh well. And real quick, claws out of the way so you can see the Scorpion head, which is also kind of cool. It's this like armored robot Scorpion-ish looking noggin. And I really like Petankranz. I love this set. It's really cool. All right, now let's turn him back into a robot because I want to do final thoughts and also show off the Scorpion claw in in robot mode. I just love that you can do that. Push this up, push that up. There we go. And then bring these out. Rotate this back down. just because that's what I did. And these bits fold in for the hip skirts. And there we've got legs. And then pop off the scorpion tail. Pop off the scorpion head. And flip this in. And bring the arms down. Oh, fold these around. Don't want to forget that. But bring the arms down. Rotate this. And like so. I'll just do this now before I plug the two ends back together. Push that in. And now this will flip in or click in here. And it holds together. You've got to push this button to disconnect it. So you can see the mechanism in there that moves to lock things in place. So plug that together. That on there. I will say, as you can see, when you've got his arms in claws, he's not going to be able to hold either of the weapons. And the shield won't work in this mode either because like you can't even plug it into the wheel because the wheel's down here. But still, you can do this, and that's very cool, and I really like it. I like how versatile this guy is, and he just looks really cool. He's pretty darn awesome. And yeah, let's give him his scythe weapon back. It's very sticky for some reason. Alright. So yeah, that will do it for Mecard Ball, Petankranz, whatever. And as I've already made very apparent, I really like this guy. I'm very glad I was able to get a hold of him. He is fun to mess with. He's got a lot of versatility in his modes and accessories. I mean, I do have some things I wish he could do. I wish the tail could straighten out more so it could be more of like a sword. I wish that this wasn't as awkward as it is. It would be nice if this could like peg into his back or something like that, but it can't. I would love it if you could have a little bit more posability with the wings in robot mode. Got to raise his shoulders up to give him that slightly more dynamic. There we go. I think my ratchets were a little bit out of whack or out of sync. Yeah, he's very cool. He's got this like, almost makes me think of like a Wolkaiser or something from Magi Ranger. I don't know. I think he's really cool. And yes, he does do the bicep curler thing, which I really don't like. And unfortunately, Griffinx also does the bicep curler thing. But there are ways around that. You can like angle the arms a little bit differently to kind of not so much hide, but avoid drawing attention to the fact that he has bicep curler arms. Like, if he's just standing there like this, he looks pretty freaking cool. I don't think the bicep curler arms really come into play at, like this. So yeah, I wish I could say, here's where you can get one for yourself, but I honestly don't know. I tried looking for this guy in Gmarket and didn't really have any luck, which is why I ended up finding him on eBay. If you search for Mecard Ball, which, I mean, the name is in the title, but if you search for Mecard Ball on eBay, you'll probably find some listings for this guy. I can't say whether or not the cost will be worth it for you because you're going to have to deal with the fact that it's, kind of a bigger toy. There's import fees, not import fees, but like the, shipping from Korea, that kind of thing. It's all factors to consider. And if you want this guy, you don't need the Petan, whatever, Petan. You don't need the orange car, really, to have fun with this guy. But it is a really nice companion piece, and I feel like that is going to last a lot longer than this. Because you can see it's pretty messed up and was fighting me when I was trying to put it back into the chest, just as an example. But hey, if you have the means and you can find this guy, I highly recommend him. So that is going to do it for Mecard Ball, Petankranz. What do you all think of this guy, or any of the other Mecard Ball stuff? Because there are a couple of other figures that are around this size that do like the car integration thing in the chest, which I think look pretty cool, but none of them hold a candle to this guy as far as I'm concerned. I will say, though, the combiner that they have does look pretty neat. It's like two robots that are kind of similar to Petankranz here, in that they have, you know, their big robot mode, stuff the car in the chest, that kind of thing, but then they pull apart and reconfigure to make an even bigger combiner, and that combiner does some really cool stuff. Looks a little silly in a couple of places. Like, imagine a combiner that's bigger than this that has a waist that's still as thin as that. It's a little silly. But still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't still kind of tempted by it. Whatever your thoughts on any of that stuff, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really have a clever outro this time around. Just toys are awesome. See you all later.